In our first story, the Institute of Local Government Studies says a survey it conducted in Ghana's 16 regions is pointing to a yes vote in the December 17 referendum on the participation of political parties in the local government system. Now, the survey results come on the back of a surge in the popularity of a no vote by campaigners. And the main opposition party, the National Democratic Congress, only last week also announced it is asking members to vote no in the referendum. PSA Nana Yaosafo reports the institute will conduct a follow-up survey to ascertain the impact of recent developments on decisions to be taken by voters. Now, here is this report read to you.
The poll, which sampled 6,550 participants out of the registered 16,845,364 eligible voters across the 16 regions, revealed an overwhelming yes in support of partisan politics in local assembly elections. It was conducted between November 6 and 11, 2019, across 44 metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. Dr. Nicholas Awatri is director of the institute.
The referendum requires that those who turn up to vote, 75% will have to say yes to the question before the referendum or before that Article 55(3) can be amended. This is dead on the number 75. Given the study's margin of error of plus or minus 5. Out of these, 13% say they have not made their mind whether to vote yes or no, but only 12% said they will vote no. And this is good news for the yes campaigners.
At least 40% of the eligible voters must turn up on December 17 for the referendum results to stand. Principal policy analysts are the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, Gameli Hodofia, however, dropped hints the level of awareness among the population could affect the outcome of the referendum.
There's very little awareness, about the upcoming referendum. Now, that is very troubling if we want to get 40% participation and of that 75% saying yes.
The ILGS says it has become necessary to conduct another survey in 2 weeks as a result of developments in the past week.
This study was carried out and was completed the day before NDC declared its intention to vote no. Once they made that decision, it is likely that the statistics that I have presented today may be affected. As to how much will be affected remains to be seen. So the ILGS intends to carry another survey in the next 2 weeks and to find how much influence that decision that NDC made will inform or will influence the decision of registered voters. 2 days after the completion of the study, the National House of Chiefs also made statements which now appears to have been discredited. But as to the influence that that statement will have on registered voters also remains to be seen.
PSA Nana Yaosafo's report for JoyNews.
Meanwhile, the governing New Patriotic Party is appealing to the NDC to rescind its decision to campaign for a no vote in the referendum. At a news conference, General Secretary of the party, John Boedu, described the party as unpatriotic and dishonest, and provided what he describes as evidence of a series of consultative meetings and speeches of leading members of the NDC, endorsing a multi-party system approach in the election of MMDCs and local government officials.
The New Patriotic Party will, nonetheless, still stretch a hand of friendship and appeal to our members or our brothers in the NDC, the second largest political party in Ghana, as at now. But they may go to third because by the way they are behaving, to come back to the consensus table and let us together do what we know to be right for Ghana. We will appeal to the NDC to put the national interest first. The MPP is fully behind the president's program and the people's desire to democratize local governance and enhance accountability at that level. We are also happy to hear that the government intends to continue engaging the NDC and other stakeholders to get this important exercise of strengthening governance at the grassroots fully back on track. Government is still not relenting its effort in engaging the leadership of the NDC, irrespective of their U10. But because they can turn, I believe that they can turn again. We also call on all patriotic citizens, including followers of NDC and other parties, to do what we all know to be right and support the Yes campaign. We call on all other institutional stakeholders to also reach out to the NDC, particularly the presidential candidate and his party's leadership, to come back and support a Yes vote. There's a strong school of thought that the only thing that explains the NDC's U10 is that being fully aware of the difficult constitutional requirement that at least 40% of electorate must show up, and at least 75% of these who show up to vote must cast in favor before such an entrenched position can be successfully amended, the NDC want to take undue, unpatriotic, and selfish advantage of that. Thus, they are merely playing politics by hoping to register a curious electoral victory by actively mobilizing their supporters to vote no. Indeed, our information is that the NDC intend to use referendum as a dress rehearsal for the 2020 general elections.
Away from this, an Accra High Court once again denied a request for bail for coup suspect ACP Dr. Ben Agojo on the basis that he could interfere with investigations. State prosecutors opposed the application, arguing the senior police officer wields enough influence and power within the service to be able to tamper with the ongoing investigations. His lawyer, Martin Pebu, rebutted, insisting that investigations were being handled by the Bureau of National Investigations, which is an intelligence agency distinct from the police service. Court correspondent Joseph Akablé was in court and files this report.
Martin Pebu told the Accra High Court the police officer had no intention of overthrowing government. He said the ACP was 2 ranks away from the highest rank in the service and therefore had a lot to lose to engage in the alleged crime. He informed the court he is married with 5 children and persons available ready to stand as surety should the court grant bail. He recounted to the court the over 5 hours long interrogation at the BNI office, which he said bordered largely on 3 issues which cannot be said to be evidence of crime. This included his advice to the Take Action Ghana group on how to organize a lawful demonstration, his donation of 2,000 cedis to support a philanthropic activity of the group, and his comment about conditions being rife for an Arab Spring. He wrapped up his submission by saying their call to the court is not to say ACP Agojo has been kept unreasonably, but rather urging the court to exercise its discretion to grant bail. Senior State Attorney Hilda Craig disagreed, insisting ACP Agojo pledged to assist the coup plotters with his technical expertise. Justice George Buedi in his ruling said the police officer could use his position and influence to interfere with investigations. He also explained that the position he occupied required some aloofness in relation to politics and pseudo-political activity. His arrest, he further stated, has revealed some connection with other persons detained in relation to the attempt to destabilize the country. Despite stating his comments are not harmful, Justice Buedi said he could interfere with investigations. The case that is before the district court is meanwhile to be heard on Wednesday, November 20.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association has resolved to open locked-up shops belonging to foreigners engaged in retail trade. The unlocking of the shops, according to GUTA, will enable affected traders clear their wares and leave the market, warning that those who fail to comply would have their goods forcibly removed. Addressing a news conference in Accra, where the ultimatum was issued, Guta warned its members are prepared to take the law into their own hands as a result of government's lackadaisical attitude towards Ghana's trade laws. Matilda Pamaga was there.
The group in recent times has complained bitterly about government's failure to enforce the laws that bar foreign traders from engaging in retail businesses. Guta explains this was why some of their members in Kumasi and other parts of the country locked up shops they believed are owned by foreigners engaged in retail business a few weeks ago. Government has already condemned the closures as unlawful, but Guta is threatening to extend the exercise nationwide if government fails to take action within a week.
We are going to open, but we are going to open for them to get rid of their goods. Not that we are going to open for them to remain in the market, but we are going to open for them to get rid of their goods and leave the market. We have given government 1 week to try as much as possible to enforce the act, so that within 1 week we expect all the foreigners in the retail trade to be out or to move out from those areas. We are going to embark on a nationwide action to make sure that we ourselves get rid of the foreigners in the retail market.
Some Guta members are meanwhile accusing other Ghanaian traders of fronting for foreign retailers.
Those foreigners who don't come here by their own power. They doesn't know anybody in Ghana here. It's we black who invited them here. I'm a victim of what I'm saying. One guy came to me that he wanted us to do business. Afterwards, he told me I should support him with my papers and do his market. And I said no. I sent him to immigration to be repatriated. The immigration took money from him and gave him the papers illegally. A foreigner cannot rent a shop in Seki here without a foreigner, without a citizen person. So the citizens, we are the citizens. We are the cause of it. So if I have in support or in hand of this, then they should call me and fetch me out and then put me aside.
The government, all right. The government. So if they are taking bribes, we don't know. But no more bribe. If they take bribe, we will also put the law into our hands and take action.
What does the group intend to do next?
What we intend to do is that our leaders have given us 1 week. So we are waiting for them.
Are you going to be patient for that one?
We're going to be patient. We are Ghanaians. We have been patient for long. And we don't fight. Ghanaians, we don't fight. We have been patient for long. So our leaders are giving us 1 week. We are waiting for the results.
Okay. So what will happen next?
We are going to take action. If the government doesn't take action.
What kind of action?
The foreigners to go. The foreigners to go.
How are you going to compel them to move?
They should lock their shop. If you are going to lock their shop, you are going to do it. I will say, Nigeria for catches, Ghana must go. Ghana must go, no. Yes, Nigeria must go.
Guta has meanwhile criticized government's failure to resolve the standoff between Benin and Nigeria, which has left its members' goods stranded at the border, despite several assurances.
Members are still stuck behind the borders. And in fact, the worrying thing is that when we are having difficulty of our members going through, some of their traders are having a way of coming through into Ghana to trade, which is not fair. But before I finish, my sister, what Nigeria has started is to make sure that we do what we should do. Their crown call is Nigeria first. The leaders of Ghana should know that it's Ghana first. Whatever that they should do to ensure that the Ghanaian business person or the Ghanaian trader or the Ghanaian is having things the proper way for us to enjoy what we have to enjoy, that should be their first and foremost, the priority. And not what Nkrumah started with Africa should be second. It should be Ghana first.
Well, we have to end the news, but before we go, we take you to Oyibi, and it's a suburb in the Katamanso constituency. It used to be a rural area a few years ago, but it's now one of the fastest growing communities on the outskirts of the capital, and it's fast attracting, the middle class, Michael Jackson, most of whom either acquire land to build their own homes or get a mortgage. But they worry about the poor state of roads in the area. Emmanuel Ante visited the community and has filed this report.
I saw a baby, a young woman be young baby, or my dear, almost so man cash and today, and all my Japan is son, or Yaquina say cry, said Trotrum, until I want today a yentiming co baby.
These residents express their frustrations with the situation they find themselves.
Not in a good shape, as you can see. When we go to the markets, the drivers can't bring us to the shop, so we have to alight at a certain junction, carry the foodstuffs to the shop, and it's very bad. If you don't have someone to help you, you have to leave your goods there. You carry them one by one, and it's very tiring. So we are pleading with the government to at least come and do something about the road. We are suffering. And the school kids, the bus come in the morning, they got stuck here. Someone to come and push the car, and the truck drivers, because of the road, they can't come here again. They've stopped using this road, and the key to going to school in the morning has become a problem for the parents.
Just as the interview was ongoing, a tricycle carrying a sick child being rushed to the clinic almost fell into the mud on the road. Occupants had to get down and walk a distance to allow the tricycle to cross before joining again, with the father carrying his sick child in his arms looking worried. The empty tricycle almost turned over as it maneuvered its way out of the muddy road. Hey! Hey! Only motorbikes and tricycles try to maneuver their way through because the trotro drivers have refused to ply that road. For residents, the situation presents a real danger to life, and residents are pleading with authorities to step in to prevent more casualties.
You can't pass here, but you just put the gravel on Monday evening, wait Tuesday with the rainfall. So now there's no car cannot pass here because this road is a big road from the junction there out to Benapad, DRA, to Katamansu, to Asiama. It's a big road, but they don't mind the route at all. So that is the situation that we are facing. So now the trotters, they are not passing here. Now they create their way, other way. So people from Medina or from some place where you carry goods, you can't come unless you drop you at the junction there before you carry their goods one by one to their home or their houses.
The school children who are saying that they were unable to go to school because the road is not fixed. And when it rains, they are unable to move anywhere. They get stuck. Trotters are unable to come to this place, neither are the tricycles. So they are pleading for government's help. Emmanuel Lante reporting from Oyibi, Benapatro.
Emmanuel Lante there. But that'll be it for the news. We have more news. We'll read the newspapers next. Enjoy this.